Hi guys, welcome to my channel, Watch Lookout, where I'm doing yet another video in the state of my collection, right as we start a rainfall here this morning. So what we have here in front of us is the Megalith 8388 chronograph. It is a shameless homage to the Tissot PRX chronograph iteration. And I really liked the 70s design styling of this watch, but of course I didn't want to pay for the Tissot iteration, and I think at the time that they had come out, I was hearing so much about how the movements weren't serviceable and how some of the parts were plastic, and I just couldn't rationalize paying that money for something that may fail after a year or so. And then I started looking on AliExpress, and I saw a couple different iterations. I think maybe Pagani Design. And then I came across this, Megalith. It's a brand that, of course, I never heard of before, nor since, I should say. But this is a fairly nice chronograph, and as I pointed out in my unboxing video, it has an idiosyncrasy associated with its chronograph function, which I like. And I'll get into the specs now. It is a 41 millimeter case diameter and 11 millimeters case height. The lug-to-lug is unimportant given the fact that it is an integrated bracelet, which you could remove, but there's really nothing you could put on in its place. As far as its lug-to-lug, I don't have that information here, but it is quite large. I mean, it's plus 50 when you take into consideration that first link of the end link, if you will, juts out quite a lot from the case itself. It has basically satin brush finishing everywhere, save for a chamfered edge there on the lugs, and also the fixed bezel itself is high polished, which is quite nice. The bracelet reflects light really well, and it's really nice, but it is super sharp and unforgiving, and that is something that I feel every time I wear it. I feel it mostly on the bottom of my wrist, particularly where the clasp comes together. It is sort of a butterfly clasp there, as you can see. It's all 3/16 stainless steel. The chronograph pushers are screwed down while the crown itself is push-pull, and it does have a screw-down case back. Sapphire crystal, not bad. It's for sale for roughly $82, but I paid a lot less than that because I did pay for the customs duty tax and the shipping at that time, and it came in at about the same price they were selling it for. So I'm not sure how much less I paid for it, but yeah, it was a good deal. And it feels fairly substantial, especially the head of the watch itself. The case is kind of a heavy deal. Now, it is a quartz chronograph, obviously, and this features a Seiko VD57. It does have a date window there between the 4 and the 5 o'clock. At the 12 o'clock position, the subdial registers tenths of a second elapsed, and it does measure the tenth of a second for the duration that you have the chronograph running. However, the hand itself is only animated. It's only sweeping for the first minute of chronograph operation. You can see that the large hand continues to move around the dial, so this is not a chronograph where the large hand is responsible for the seconds elapsed during chronograph function. Instead, the 6 o'clock subdial is responsible for the seconds that have elapsed during when the chronograph is active, and the 9 o'clock position is for the minutes that have elapsed, all the way up to 60 minutes. It's a very nice little thing. The idiosyncrasy or the eccentricity of this chronograph is not so much when it's operating, it's when you reset the chronograph hands. So at the 12 o'clock position, the tenth of a second will reset in a clockwise position back to the 12 o'clock or 0 setting, and the 6 o'clock elapsed seconds will reset in an anti-clockwise position, but it continues to sweep around the dial based on the number of times that it has gone around. So if it's gone around for 4 minutes or 5 minutes, then it will rotate in that anti-clockwise position 5 times before it resets to 0. If it's 10 minutes, ostensibly it would rotate 10 times before it goes back to its home position. So that's kind of a neat little thing, the fact that you can have a 12 o'clock and a 6 o'clock subdial hands rotating in the opposite direction as you reset. I just thought that was interesting, and it's something that none of my other chronographs feature. I took possession of this watch in April of 2023. I've worn it infrequently, but I have worn it on occasions. When I did my unboxing video, I did not detect that it came damaged right out of the box. You can see there where the bracelet meets the case, that the bracelet has some damage there where the metal is bent upwards, probably from a torsional twist somewhere in the factory. And the same thing here, we have the same corresponding little damage on this one. So I'm not sure if this has something to do with when they attach the bracelet to the case. I'm not sure how it happened, but it is identical on both sides. See, both on the left and on the left end link, both of them had damage. Not something I noticed when I unboxed because, you know, I was probably staring at the monitor more than the watch itself, as you do. Kind of like how I'm doing now. I'm staring at the camera's display rather than the watch itself. I do like the color scheme. I'm big into gray and silver and all things gunmetal. And it does coordinate with a lot of different outfits, albeit I would say more formal outfits, because, you know, given the fact that the bracelet is so unforgiving with its sharp edges, I can't abide wearing it in any sort of sport, you know, activity. And I wouldn't wear it casually either, just because of that. No, I usually wear it on the day when I'm probably wearing a suit. It does fit under the cuff quite nicely with that 11 millimeter case height. So yeah, it's a nice little watch for a very inexpensive price, and it has not disappointed me. Of course, I don't use the chronograph when I do wear the watch, but I do use it to show people. You know, I do frequently, as I am a teacher, I do frequently show my watches to my students, and you know, students love to play with chronographs, and so that's just a neat little touch, to have something that's sort of unique. And they've seen a lot of the watches, so they've seen how they're all different in their own little way. All right, guys, thanks for coming out and watching the review of the Megalith Chronograph 8388. Cheers, everyone.